Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Zero Hour. I am Richard RJ Eskow, and joining us now is a good friend of the program, good friend of ours. We always love having her on. Terry O'Neill is president of the National Organization for Women. She is an attorney. She is a thinker about social and economic issues, and we are delighted to have her back. Terry, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, RJ.
Now, listen, I wanted to start out with a topic that's going to get, I think, more relevant in very, very quickly. And that is, if predictions are correct, Hillary Clinton is about to announce her candidacy for president of the United States in the 2016 election. That announcement is expected imminently. Now, particularly for the progressive community, which cares about such things, that means there's going to be a lot of heated debate on the left between those who think, let's say there are three schools of thought. People who want to support her and believe she deserves that support, people who would support her but want to press her on specific issues and move her significantly closer to the left, and then people who just think she's not the right person for the job from a leftist perspective, and would like to see either Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders or somebody else step up and take the mantle instead. Now, what I'm getting to, and what I wanted your thoughts on, I mean, I'd love your thoughts on all of it, but specifically, it's already getting, in my life, a little challenging to have these conversations because there's, first of all, residual sensitivity from, I think, 2008 conflicts over her candidacy, because I think there is so much grotesque sexism in society as a whole and directed towards Hillary Clinton on the right, that what I'm trying to suss out, and we'll just start out with your general thoughts or principles on this, is how, for example, how a progressive man who has concerns, who does not support Hillary Clinton either now or would need to see some changes or whatever, expresses his criticisms without appearing sexist, without triggering accusations of sexism, and so on. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, RJ, and it really is a tough issue, and one that I'm sympathetic with. As you say, our society really is suffused with sexism as racism. Also, and in many areas of the country, homophobia is still strong. I mean, we've got these issues, and there is such a thing as institutional or unconscious bias, and I think we all are concerned about saying things that turn out to be offensive when we didn't mean for them to be offensive. I think that the most important piece, and I will say, my politics are significantly to the left of probably most Democrats in this country, and I would include Hillary Clinton in that. Does that mean she's somehow not a feminist? No, she is a feminist, and it's in this sense. She never has to be reminded to ask the woman question. How does this impact women in your community? How does this impact the girls in this school? That's something that is absolutely intuitive for her. That's not true for many people, including many leftists. Who have to remind themselves, how does this affect women? How does this affect people of color? How does this affect people with disabilities? It's a whole thing that when we don't ask those questions, it's usually because we're privileged enough that it doesn't occur to us.
Right. My first, just to jump in for a second, the first thing you've taught me, Terry O'Neill, is that whatever her economic or foreign policy positions may be, that a criticism of her which does not acknowledge the fact that she fulfills that provides that very important service to the public discourse, which is so often neglected, by inference, slights women's issues as a whole, or could be seen as slighting women's issues as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. In other words, and I think the important thing is to really talk about the issue, as opposed to this politician that I'm so mad at because they're not agreeing with me on this issue. It's hard to do that. It's hard to avoid being ad hominem, but you can say something like, I think Secretary Clinton is absolutely wrong on this issue because these are the things that would be right with the policy that I propose. These are the things that are wrong with the policy that she supports. If
Right.
you stick to those issues, if you stick to your data, if you make evidence-based claims, instead of saying, she's the kind of person who can't be trusted to pursue these issues that I care about. You're going to get in trouble real fast when you start talking about what kind of a person she is. If especially the more privilege that one holds, the more trouble you're going to get into. Now, Hillary Clinton is very much a privileged person, except for her gender. So there may not be quite as much danger of that. But trust me, women are sensitized to sexist attacks on women candidates generally, and
Right.
we saw attacks on Elizabeth Warren that were sexist, and women were furious about it. We saw attacks on Janet Yellen that were flat out sexist, or treatment of Janet Yellen that was flat out sexist, and my organization spoke out very loudly about that. So the gender does remain important.
Yeah, no, oh, absolutely. And obviously someone like me wants to be sensitive to that. Now, here's one area where it gets tricky, let's say for me. I am not a fan of the entire Clinton wing of the Democratic Party as a rule. And my understanding from reading and so on is that, Hillary Clinton has presented herself as a senior advisor to Bill, key member of that team. I accept that that's the reality. She's bringing a lot of, from what I read, she's bringing a lot of those team members along with her in her own venture. So, at one point, for example, I wrote to a group of friends that I don't automatically assume that a wife's political positions are the same as her husband's. So I'm not doing that here. But given her association with Bill, the fact that she has presented herself as a key member of his team, she's bringing some of the same people along. I have concerns about what economic decision she might make. Now, that triggered a very negative response from at least one person saying, do not ever ascribe a wife's husband's political position to the wife, which I wasn't doing. I explained why I was doing it. That wasn't why I was doing it. How can I talk about something like that? Or do I just have to walk away from it?
No, honestly, RJ, her public positions when she was First Lady are her public positions. So you don't need to be saying, well, she supported, President Clinton. You can say, she said this. She supported this policy as First Lady. And I think it's all public record. You can absolutely find out everything that she did as First Lady, that she supported, the legislation that she supported and so forth.
Well, but she didn't always express an opinion. So, for example, deregulation of Wall Street, I'm not sure she expressed a position on that. Maybe she did, but I should check. I'm just picking that as an example off the top of my head. But
right.
If she brings along Larry Summers and Bob Rubin, they're the ones who did it. So,
right. If she didn't have a position and she didn't state a position, then she didn't state a position. And you can, at that point, you really can't ascribe policy positions to her that you don't know she had. Oh, definitely not. But on the other hand, you can certainly say, and look, we were horrified when the whole welfare reform happened, Hillary Clinton was supportive of many aspects of it, not all. But on the other hand, we were very pleased when she actually publicly stated, I think it was publicly stated, that she opposed what was it? It was the big banks wanted it. It was a bankruptcy bill. Now, as senator, she ended up voting for a not as bad version of the bankruptcy bill, but a bad enough version that now was very much opposed to it and worked very, very hard to stop it from happening. And we were really disappointed when Senator Clinton voted for that bill.
Right.
So, on the other hand, when she created the S-chip program as First Lady, that was a good program, and and everybody supported that. So,
right.
So I think that's the important thing, is really specifically to talk about the issues. Look, we're looking right now at a number of things. For instance, the doc fix bill is coming up to the Senate. It's going to be up before the Senate's beginning next Monday. I don't know if you're familiar with that, or if your listeners are familiar with it. Yeah, the Medicare thing. There's a lot wrong with that bill. Now, how are our friends on Capitol Hill going to vote for it? Well, the vast majority of Democrats on Capitol Hill including progressive Democrats, voted for it in the House. So now it's going to be in the Senate. It's got a vicious anti-abortion provision in a bill that's supposed to be about making sure doctors get paid fairly for providing services to Medicare beneficiaries. It puts Medicare on a scary path towards privatization. It's just got a ton of stuff that we don't like, but it's got things we do like extending the S-chip program for 2 years or 4 years.
Right. Now, has Secretary Clinton expressed an opinion on that you know of?
No, not that I know of. I'm just saying that I've got huge problems with the elected Democrats.
See, now, listen,
they went along with it,
we
right?
could talk.
What are you doing? These are our friends.
I know, but listen, one of the things, Terry O'Neill, that it occurs to me in talking about this, how to talk about Hillary issue is, for example, I get what you're saying, and I've learned something also from the, this business of ascribing the husband's position to the wife. I do want to say, so sometimes symmetry is not enough, meaning if it were the other way around, if Sarah Palin's husband said he was her closest advisor and he was running, I'd express skepticism on the same ground. But because there is, and this is legitimate if this is true, because there is history of that being done specifically toward women regarding their husbands, then simply doing it the same as I would do it for Todd Palin isn't the right answer. The right answer is to be aware of that sensitivity and work with it, right?
Yeah. I mean, don't ascribe to Todd Palin positions that Sarah Palin holds. Absolutely. Frankly, I think it's easier to understand that Todd Palin would be, quote unquote, his own man. I just think that that's because of the society we live in. It's a lot harder for us to sort of intuitively assume that a woman who is a wife is her own woman.
Yeah, see, to me, it was more about, and I can work with this too. I can readdress my critique to the advisors she chooses and the positions she expresses. But for the record, I would ascribe Sarah Palin, if Todd Palin said he was her closest advisor, I would ascribe Sarah Palin's positions to him unless he spoke up. But maybe that's wrong too. I don't know.
Once he starts running for office and so forth.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it was.
I mean, the candidate or the elected official is the boss, and to be an advisor to the boss is not the same thing as going toe to toe with the boss to get your own policies forward. Never mind what your boss thinks. That's not the way the advisor position works, right? So even in that situation, you can't. I mean, I just don't think that's fair. So people who are a chief of staff to an elected official could never run on their own and possibly have a different opinion? No.
Well, they could, but they have to express that opinion. So I guess I would say that my other position is that to be a candidate, we're going to need to hear her position, Hillary Clinton's position on a variety of things. TPP, which she's expressed support for in the past, a trade deal we don't like, expansion of Social Security, which majority of senators on the Democratic side of the Senate voted for, foreign policy issues in greater specifics, so on. Okay, she hasn't been a candidate yet, so can't knock her for not expressing those opinions, but I am certainly very interested in them.
Yes, definitely. And that's, I think, where we want to have conversations. We really want to have those conversations about, and I'll tell you the things that now is actually looking at.
Okay, well,
we are very...
Unfortunately, I don't want to be one of those men who interrupts, but we do have to go to break.
Okay.
So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, maybe we'll wrap up this conversation and talk about a couple other interesting things that are going on. So we're going to take a quick break. We're talking with Terry O'Neill, president of the National Organization for Women, and we'll be right back after this. I'm Richard RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour.